center of McLeodganj. Or check out the large gilded bronzes of the Buddha, and the giant prayer wheels are sure to give you an otherworldly feel. You can also get a piece of Tibetan culture to take back home. This town is known for Tibetan handicrafts, thangka, which are painted or embroidered Buddhist banner, garments and other souvenirs. That's not all. Various Buddhist festivals that take place throughout the year will also keep you enthralled.
Hello and a very good morning. It's just past 8 this Friday morning and we're back again with all the news on Breakfast News. I am Nancy Kohli and over the next 1 hour we'll get you news from across the nation, world, sports and business updates as well. And also look at what the national dailies are carrying this morning. All of that in the next 1 hour. Stay with us. Let's begin with the top stories. Karnataka Assembly Speaker K.R. Ramesh Kumar says he will not decide immediately on the resignation of the rebel MLAs, says he has videographed the meeting with the MLAs and will be sending it to the Supreme Court. Also adds he needs time to check whether the resignations are as per rule. Supreme Court is to hear the case of the resignations of the 10 rebel MLAs today. Political rumblings in Karnataka and Goa also find echo in Parliament. The opposition accuses the BJP of interference in the state governments. The Bharatiya Janata Party says the Congress is not able to keep its own house in order. Lok Sabha sets a record of sorts, having a marathon discussion till midnight, discusses demands for grants under the control of the Ministry of Railways for 2019-2020. In Assam, the overall flood situation remains grim. Several areas inundated due to the breach of river embankments. Over 4 lakh people affected due to floods in the 17 districts. The NDRF and the SDRF undertake rescue work. India and the US to hold talks in New Delhi to resolve the recent trade issues between the two countries. The meeting being held following discussions held between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump at the G20 summit in Osaka in Japan. And in sports news, in the ICC Cricket World Cup, England sets up a final against New Zealand on Sunday. England defeated Australia by 8 wickets in the second semi-final match yesterday. And in Wimbledon, it's the men's singles semi-finals today. Roger Federer clashes against Rafael Nadal after nearly 11 years. The other semi-final will see Novak Djokovic against Roberto Bautista Agut. Our top story, as the political chaos in Karnataka continued, the State Assembly Speaker K.R. Ramesh Kumar has said that he has videographed the meeting with the 10 rebel MLAs and will be sending it to the Supreme Court. He also said that he needs time to check whether the resignations are as per rule. He added that he is under no obligation to act in haste and will take a final call only when he is convinced that they are genuine and voluntary. Unaware of the court's order, the Speaker of the Karnataka Assembly had moved the Supreme Court, seeking more time to pronounce a decision on the serial resignations. However, it went in vain as the Apex Court refused an immediate hearing of the case. And earlier on in the day yesterday, the Apex Court had heard the plea of the rebel MLAs and directed the state police to provide tight security cover for them. The Apex Court had also directed the Speaker to decide on the resignations during the course of the day and also asked for a copy to be submitted. The Supreme Court will now hear the matter today. Remember, total 16 MLAs have submitted their resignations till now, and if these resignations are accepted, then the majority of the ruling alliance will come down to 100. The alliance desperately needs a figure of 105 to save itself. Okay, let's now go across to our correspondent Aisha Khanam, who's been keeping a track of all these developments taking place in Karnataka. Aisha, good morning. It's the 7th day of the political crisis in Karnataka today, and very important, the 10-day assembly session also in fact critical for the coalition government. It is taking the legal route. It wants to save itself, and the speaker has stood his ground, saying that he will go by the constitution. What really happens today? What developments more are we expected to see likely to pan out?
Well, Nancy, today will be very crucial day because the session begins, and it is very clear that the rebels have said that they will not get back from Mumbai. And also the fact that yesterday's developments, they met the speaker, and their resignation has, there is no decision on the resignation. So all eyes will be on the Supreme Court, where their petition will be heard today, because they will have to go back to the Supreme Court and tell the Supreme Court that they met the speaker as per the Supreme Court directions given to them yesterday. But they did not get any expected answer or verdict from the speaker. The resignation letters have not been accepted by the speaker. So it's very clear that this matter will prolong today, and all eyes will be on Supreme Court. And then on the other hand, even the speaker has moved Supreme Court yesterday, saying that it will be difficult for him to examine all these resignation letters at one go. Right. And also yesterday in the press conference, he pointed out clearly that these resignation letters, now the fresh resignation letters which the MLAs gave, have been under security cover, and they had to come from Mumbai. So these are the reasons that he will have to look into as to why the MLAs required security cover to submit their resignation.
Okay.
So these are the grounds that Speaker is citing. And now in the session, this is a very important session, because the finance bill has to be passed.
Absolutely, yes.
And if the finance bill fails on the floor of the House, it means the end for the government.
Yes.
And in either way, because the Congress has issued, the JDS has also issued whip to their MLAs that they should attend the session and support the bill. But it's very clear that these MLAs will not attend, and the finance bill, the status of the finance bill seems to be in the dark, because if that happens, Kumaraswamy will have no option but to give up, and Congress will have to, call it quits along with this coalition government. So all eyes will be on this session. But today it is more very likely that the session, which begins at 12:30, will end soon, because there is obituary. There will be respect paid to the departed MLA Shivali, and after this the session might be adjourned for Monday. And if the BJP makes a move on the floor of the House and creates and demands that the government is not in order, the House is not in order, and Chief Ministership with his majority, then that will also lead to another series of events developing.
Yes. All right. Aisha, all eyes are, of course, going to be on the assembly session that's going to begin today, and also on the Supreme Court, because it's going to be taking up the matter. But, all these days, a week it's been, it's whatever the speaker may also decide, it's a disservice to the people of the state, Aisha. And that's very important, because, right from the start, the 2018 mandate was a fractured one. It was an unlikely partnership. There didn't seem to be a shared governance agenda between the Congress and the JDS, and now we are seeing this political crisis unfolding in Karnataka, when large parts of the state are ruling under a drought for the past 3 years. So it's a disservice to the people of the state once again, even as the political drama in Karnataka is unfolding.
Absolutely, Nancy. People of Karnataka are tired of this drama which breaks out every 3 months, and in the past months, this government is in the past 13 months, ever since this government came into power, there have been 6 rebellion activities in similar way, and this seems to be the final nail on the coalition government. And also people in Karnataka are now hoping that this chaos ends, and there will be development, and there will be a better government in the Vidhan Sabha. See, on one hand there was drought, on the other hand heavy rains in Kodagu, because remember last year Kodagu was devastated by heavy rains, and still there are no homes, there are no shelters to people in Kodagu, and these work still has to be completed. And this year also heavy rains in Kodagu, but the government does not seem to care about this entire difficulties of the people in the state.
Right.
And the fact that finance bill itself, the future of finance bill itself is in question. So that itself is a big, it will be a big shock
Big worry for the government,
because
yes.
if finance bill is defeated, it means the financial status of the state will go haywire. And also, even the government employees may not get their salaries for some time till this finance bill gets approved. So it could either go to the center where the parliament has power to approve this bill. If the governor intervenes and says that the government, there is no government in Karnataka, then the bill will have to go to parliament. So these are the options before now. And people of Karnataka are watching this clearly, and they are absolutely on one hand cursing their bad time in Karnataka and hope that this crisis ends soon. So today we'll have to wait and see what step BJP will take once the Supreme Court takes up these cases, and what will be, the governor's governor's observations on this entire development.
All right, Aisha, well, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing those inputs. We'll be, in fact, closely keeping a track of all the developments taking place in Karnataka with you through the day-to-day. Thanks very much. And after Karnataka, the Congress received another setback in Goa. 10 out of a total of 15 Congress MLAs in the 40-member Goa Assembly were officially inducted into the BJP in the presence of the party's working president JP Nadda yesterday. The Bharatiya Janata Party declared that all the legislators have left the Congress to join the BJP in the interest of the development of their constituencies. Now, with the recent development, the BJP has become 27 members strong in the 40-member Goa Assembly. The Congress has diminished in size to 5 MLAs, just 5 MLAs, that is, from its single largest position in the State Assembly after the 2017 Goa elections. The split in the Congress came ahead of the monsoon session of the Goa Assembly that will start from the 15th of this month. And owing to the political crisis in Karnataka and Goa, the Congress has once again created nuisance in Parliament, disrupting the proceedings of the House. The members of the Congress even staged a protest outside the Parliament building. The opposition accused the Bharatiya Janata Party of interference in the state governments, while the BJP said that the Congress is not able to keep its own house in order.
The country is witnessing an unusual situation where it is the ineptitude and bankruptcy of a political party, and they are blaming BJP. They don't have their president for last 40 days. They don't have any All India president. How BJP is responsible? They should introspect. Their MLAs, they don't have any contact, any dialogue. MLAs or workers don't see future in the party. Therefore, they are taking their own decisions. Where is the issue of BJP destabilizing anything? It is the Congress which is responsible for their own condition, and therefore what they accused of BJP, we condemn it, because BJP is nowhere responsible. It is their own attitude and conduct which is responsible for the party's bickering state of affairs as we are witnessing today.
And let's now go across to our correspondent Shailendra Mishra, who is joining us on the phone line with more inputs on what we can expect in Parliament today. Shailendra, good morning. We are seeing the political crisis in Karnataka and Goa finding its mention, and Parliament becoming a casualty of the political crisis, the chaos, the drama unfolding there, especially in Karnataka. What can we expect today and the listed agenda in Parliament for today?
गुड मॉर्निंग नैन्सी, कल जरूर कर्नाटक को लेकर कांग्रेस ने सदन में मुद्दा उठाया, लेकिन बावजूद इसके देखने को मिला कि देर रात तक संसद की कार्रवाई चली और जो रेलवे पर जो अनुदान मांगे हैं उस पर लोकसभा में देर रात तक चर्चा हुई। तमाम सांसदों, करीब 100 सांसदों को बोलने का मौका मिला और ये कह सकते हैं कि इस सत्र के दौरान जमकर कामकाज संसद के दोनों सदनों में हो रहा है और इसको लेकर तमाम जो नए सांसद हैं उन्होंने खुशी भी जताई है कि उन्हें सीखने का मौका मिल रहा है। हम जानते हैं कि कल बजट पर जो चर्चा राज्यसभा में उसे आगे बढ़ाया गया, बजट पर दिन भर चर्चा हुई और लोकसभा में रेलवे की अनुदान मांगों पर तमाम सदस्यों ने अपनी बात रखी। आज अगर देखें तो दोनों सदनों में जो सांसदों के जो निजी विधेयक है वो लिस्टेड है, इसके साथ ही साथ सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी अमेंडमेंट बिल सरकार पेश कर सकती है और जबकि एयरपोर्ट अथॉरिटी देश के एयरपोर्ट्स के नियमन से जुड़ा एक विधेयक है वो सदन के पटल पर रखा जा सकता है। इसमें एयरपोर्ट पे जो टैरिफ लगाने के लिए एक तरह से प्राधिकरण और एक रेगुलेटर बनाने का जो प्रस्ताव है, तो निश्चित तौर पर ये दो अहम विधेयक है जो आज संसद के दोनों कार्रवाई में, संसद के दोनों सदनों में लिस्टेड है। इसके साथ ही साथ हम जानते हैं कि कल देर रात तक लोकसभा में रेलवे के अनुदान मांगों पर चर्चा हुई। आज सड़क परिवहन मंत्रालय के अनुदान मांगों पर चर्चा प्रस्तावित है, लोकसभा की कार्रवाई में लिस्टेड है। तो निश्चित तौर पर बजट पारित कराने की जो प्रक्रिया है, तमाम अलग अलग मंत्रालयों के अनुदान मांगों पर चर्चा को आगे बढ़ाया जा रहा है और जिस तरह से जमकर कामकाज दोनों सदनों में हो रहा है, निश्चित तौर पर कोशिश यही है कि जल्द से जल्द जो तमाम विधायी कामकाज है उन पर आगे बढ़ा जा सके और तेजी से प्रगति लाई जा सके। जी नैन्सी।
Okay. All right, Shailendra, thanks very much for joining us for the moment and sharing what we can expect in Parliament today. So important legislation scheduled for both the houses, and remember both the houses of Parliament also held marathon sessions, marathon discussions yesterday while the Rajya Sabha continued its discussion on the general budget till 9 at night. The Lok Sabha discussed the demand for grants under the control of the Ministry of Railways for the 2019-2020 till around midnight, and in fact Parliament Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi credited the Speaker, members and the staff for holding such a long session, saying it's a first for the House in the 21st century. And in spite of working till late at night, both the houses of Parliament will resume at 11 today. The government believes that the tradition will help members overcome their political differences and contribute to the making of New India through their effective participation in the discussions of the House.
With Parliament working till late in the night, intentions of the government are loud and clear. They not only want smooth and effective functioning of the Parliament, but also ensure record business to assure new members and countrymen that the government is serious on dealing with their future.
अभी 12 घंटे तक हर मेंबर अक्रॉस द पार्टी बहुत अच्छा सुझाव दिया है, अच्छा करने के लिए।
दोनों सदनों में जिस गंभीरता के साथ बजट पर चर्चा हुई, पहले लोकसभा में पहले दिन 2 बजे से रात के 8 बजे तक हाउस चला और अगले दिन रात के 11:30 बजे तक, लगभग 11:15 बजे तक हाउस चला। अब राज्यसभा में भी सुबह 11 बजे से लेकर रात के 9 बजे तक आज चर्चा हुई। ये अच्छी दिशा में दोनों सदन चल रहे हैं, सकारात्मक चर्चा हो रही है और देश के कोने कोने से आए हुए सांसद जनता से जुड़े हुए मुद्दों को और बजट पर गंभीरता से चर्चा कर रहे हैं।
While Rajya Sabha took up late-night discussions on the budget, Lok Sabha concluded discussions on demands for grant for the Railway Ministry at 11:58 p.m. Union Railway Minister Piyush Goyal is likely to reply to the debate today afternoon, following which the demand for grants will be put to vote.
कि नए स्पीकर श्री ओम बिरला जी के बनने के बाद आपने ये महसूस किया होगा उन्हें एक नई कार्य संस्कृति पैदा की है और आज सदन में कितनी सदस्यों की दिलचस्पी बढ़ी।
हमारे स्पीकर अध्यक्ष महोदय ओम बिरला जी जैसे सदन चला रहे हैं, हम लोगों ने लंच आवर को भी कटौती किए हैं उन्होंने, और हमको सब ये अच्छा लग रहा है।
Parliament proceedings continue till late night is surely a sign of strengthening parliamentarian traditions. With Anuj Yadav and Rishi Kumar, Bureau Report, DD News.
Moving on now, a staggering 1.3 billion people across 111 developing nations are extremely poor. That's according to a new report from the United Nations. Half of it are under 18 years old and 1/3 are children. According to the UN Development Programme, to fight poverty, one needs to know where poor people live. Further, they are not evenly spread across a country, not even within a household. The report also added that the 2019 Global Multidimensional Poverty Index provides the detailed information policymakers need to be more effectively targeting their policies. Okay, let's now go across to our correspondent Arun Sharma, who's been keeping a track of developments on that front. Arun, first of all, fill us in with the findings of this report by the UNDP, and what does it say about India?
We talk about India as far as lifting the poor people out of poverty. It's a big achievement for a country like India. That's what the UNDP report says. Now, just to simplify this report, the report says that close to 55% people were living in poverty if you look at the year 2005-2006. Now, that has come down drastically to 27%. That means almost it has halved in 2015-16. That's what this report suggests. Now, it also lauds India's effort in bringing people out of poverty. It says clearly that while making policies, two countries, Cambodia and India, these are two countries which have made sure that none of the policies are such which are not made for the poor people. That means all the policies are kept in mind whenever a policy is designed or developed. The poor people are at the core of the policy of the government. Now, tracking this entire report, the report primarily is, tracking 10 indicators. The indicators are the health index. Number two is how many people have a sanitation coverage, how many people have gas connection in their homes, how many people are having a decent household, and number five, how many people have are eating the nutritional food. So all these there were close to 10 parameters or 10 indicators primarily which the report talks about. The interesting part over here is that the UNDP report clearly lauds the effort of Jharkhand as well, which is the Indian state, and it says that Jharkhand, in 2005-06, if we look at the indicator, at that time, that area, the geographical area, was having close to 74% of people living in poverty line. Now that has completely come down to 27%. So that's an important, achievement for states like Jharkhand, which has done a lot as far as these initiatives of government are concerned. And we should not forget the initiative of the government like aspirational district that they have gone forward, whereby they are trying to compete, making competition between the 100 most backward districts of a country. That's what they're calling it, aspirational district. And the kind of initiative like Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, the government is focusing on providing gas connection to the people, providing household, providing houses to pakka makan to the people of our country, providing electricity connection to each and every household. These are a couple of, many initiatives of the government that has played an important role in lifting 27 crore people, Prime Minister. So 270 million people out of the poverty, and that's a big achievement for country like India, where the population size is only 130 crores. So it's a big achievement for a country like India.
Absolutely. All right, Arun, thanks for those inputs. Well, that's a great report coming in by the UN, which says that lifting of 271 million out of poverty in 10 years, India fastest, in Jharkhand is the #1 area. Well, that report coming in by the United Nations Development Program. Moving on now, a US delegation is visiting India to hold talks with India officials on trade and economic issues. The Assistant U.S. Trade Officials for South and Central Asia, Christopher Wilson, is leading a delegation to the national capital to discuss bilateral and economic issues with his counterparts in the ministries and the departments of the Government of India. He is accompanied by the Deputy Assistant Brendan Lynch. Relevant issues for both the countries on trade and commerce will be discussed during the meeting. And both the sides will also be holding a comprehensive dialogue today in the Commerce and Industry Ministry with additional secretary. The visiting delegation will also call on the Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal on the same day. That's today.
In Osaka, when the Prime Minister and President Trump met, they had a very good meeting. And it was decided, and naturally trade was also discussed. And in that meeting, it was decided that officials from both sides will meet to resolve all outstanding issues related to trade. You are aware that the team is already here. It is being led by United States Trade Representative Office in charge of South and Central Asia. He's Assistant U.S. Trade Representative. His name is Mr. Christopher Wilson. We have a matching delegation from our side. It is being led by an additional secretary level officer from the Ministry of Commerce. I think it is important to keep in mind when we engage on this issue that the trajectory of the relationship remains positive. We have to keep in mind the bigger picture, and within that big picture, I think we have to address all the issues which are on the table.
And let's now go across to our correspondent Abhishek Jha, who's joining us on the phone line with more inputs on that. Abhishek, so important meeting that's going to be taking place between the US and Indian officials, and of course trade issues are going to be on the table. Just pinpoint these issues for us, and how is this meeting, the minute discussion over the issues going to be going to lead to strengthening of the trade relations between India and the US?
Let's see, as of now, India and the US has a huge trade deficit. Then there are issues of tariffs that US has imposed, and certain commodities that India has imposed on US commodities. So then there are issues of certification of commodities before they are exported to US. So there are many issues that has been there for quite some time. And during this G20 meeting, when Prime Minister and President Trump had a bilateral meeting, they decided that all the outstanding issues on trade and commerce should be sorted out with regular interactions, and that is the way forward only. And taking cue from that, the US delegation is in India. It is said that they'll be having a discussion on almost all the trade issues, which is currently the matter of differences between the two sides. Issues of telecom sector, issues of tariff on commodities that India sends to US, and India has imposed certain tariffs on some commodities, which US is not willing to accept. But these willingness and unwillingness, everything is being talked about at this delegation level talks, which is the team is for 2 days in India. On yesterday they started the delegation level talk, and now today also that talk will continue, and maybe by the evening we are expecting some sort of release or some statement where we will be able to know what has actually transpired during 2 days of meeting.
Okay. All right, Abhishek, thanks for those inputs. Thanks very much. And moving on now to news from Assam, where the overall flood situation remains grim as new areas were inundated due to breach of the river embankments. Over 4 lakh people are reeling under the fury of flood in 17 districts. The NDRF and the SDRF teams are deployed to rescue the flood-hit people. 700 people have already been shifted to safer places. The temporary relief camps have also been set up to shelter the flood-affected. Road communication is badly affected due to the floods, which is causing a massive problem in the rural areas. The Assam Chief Minister Sarbanand Sonowal has reviewed the flood situation with all the deputy commissioners and instructed to set up 24/7 control room in all the districts. In a bid to ensure zero tolerance for child pornography, the Women and Child Development Ministry has first come up with a definition of what encompasses child pornography. According to the ministry, it was essential as definition leads to the setting of the context of the crime. Anyone found in the possession of even digital or computer-generated sexually explicit images that appear to depict a child will have to face punishment. The Protection of Children from Sexual Offences, the POCSO Amendment Bill, was approved by the Union Cabinet on Wednesday. The ministry has also underlined and enforced citizens' responsibility to report and destroy, because not reporting is also an evidence of crime. And online porn channel as well. In Delhi, the CBI had arrested one of the 5 suspects, administrators of a WhatsApp group, for allegedly circulating pornographic videos and the photos of children. The group consisted of 119 members from 40 countries involved in the racket. Let's now go across to our correspondent Meghna Dev, who is joining us on the phone line this morning. Meghna, good morning. A very important step coming in there by the Women and Child Development Ministry, because laying out what the definition is, it's actually going to widen the ambit and making clear the context of the crime it's going to be committed in.
Absolutely, Nancy. This amendment not only aims at strengthening the POCSO Act, but also aims at, there are no loopholes left in the Act. So it is also able to combat the rising cases of child sexual abuse. And when the Union Cabinet had on Wednesday approved the amendments to strengthen the Act by including death penalty for sexual assault on children, besides, it also provided stringent punishments for other crimes against minors as well. And it is one of the major requirements. It was one of the major requirements actually define what is child pornography.
Yes.
And not only this, the quantum of punishment needed also to be defined, because there were several loopholes in which the accused and the accused used to escape, and they used to hide behind. So it was also very important for them in that manner as well. Also, as they have defined child pornography as any visual depiction of sexually explicit conduct which involves a child, including a photograph, video, digital, anything. Also, it is very important, Nancy, here, that is a computer-generated image which also actually depicts a child or image created which depicts a child in a sexually explicit environment or a sexually explicit conduct is also defined under child pornography. So it is a very important, a very important step to actually curb this. And also, while there are chemical substance abuse on children to make them sexually mature early, it is that has also been defined. And not only this, child pornography, when the videos are with people in possession and they are not reporting it, for that also fine provisions have been made. And for sexually explicit conduct, also till death penalty, imprisonment till death penalty and fine, all the provisions have been made. So it is only now going to make the POCSO Act more important, more strengthened.
Yes.
And also one more important point here, Nancy, is that a number of 1,023 fast-track courts are to be set up in one financial year with a cost of 700 crores, for which 18 states have given nod and few more are in talks. So it is very important to actually curb the pendency of the cases related to the POCSO Act as well. Nancy.
Okay. All right, Meghna, thanks very much for joining us and sharing all those inputs. Thanks very much. Moving on now, Prasar Bharati signed an MOU with the IIT Kanpur for research collaboration in various areas, including direct-to-mobile broadcasting, convergence with 5G, rural broadband, artificial intelligence, and next-generation broadcasting standards. Prasar Bharati CEO Shashi Shekhar Vempati exchanged the MOU with the director IIT Kanpur, Abhay Karandikar, in New Delhi. And news now from around the world. The UK has raised the threat to British shipping in Iranian waters in the Gulf to the highest level, where the risk of attack is critical. Britain's Foreign Secretary has expressed concern over the growing tensions in the region. He said the government was monitoring the situation closely and constantly reviewing the security arrangements. Earlier on Thursday, Britain said that 3 Iranian vessels tried to block the passage of a BP-operated tanker through the Strait of Hormuz, but withdrew after warnings from a British warship. The incident came almost a week after British Royal Marines boarded an Iranian tanker, the Grace 1, off Gibraltar and seized it on suspicion that it was breaking European Union sanctions by taking oil to Syria. And in Syria, the Russian-led airstrikes hit the rebel-held town of Latamina in the northern countryside of Hama. At least 544 civilians have been killed and more than 2,000 injured since the Russian-backed assault on the last rebel bastion in northwestern Syria began 2 months ago. The rights groups and rescuers have said that the Russian jets joined the Syrian army on 26 April in the biggest offensive against the parts of Idlib province and adjoining northern Hama provinces, in the biggest escalation in the war between Syrian President Bashar al-Assad and his enemies since last summer. And Sudan's ruling military council foiled an attempted military coup, and at least 16 officers were arrested yesterday. The development comes as the council and the protest movement leaders were in discussions on a power-sharing deal. The coup was attempted in an effort to undermine an agreement between the military and the opposition to share power for 3 years ahead of elections. The military council and a coalition of the opposition and the protest groups agreed provisionally last week to share power for 3 years, reviving hopes for a peaceful transition of power in a country plagued by internal conflicts and years of economic crisis. The agreement has yet to be finalized and signed. In Greece, the weathermen have warned that more harsh weather could be on the way after 7 people died and dozens injured when a freak storm ripped through beach fronts in a popular tourist region in the north of the country. Following the intense damage, the authorities declared a state of emergency. Weathermen also predicted Sunday to be a difficult day for the country. Such a severe weather is unusual for Greece, where summers are typically hot and dry. On Wednesday, the temperatures had surpassed 40 degrees Celsius across the country. The UN Human Rights Council has voted to set up an investigation into alleged crimes committed during the Philippine government's war on drugs. The resolution, which was passed by a narrow margin, mandates a comprehensive written report into the human rights situation in the country. It will focus on the reports of extrajudicial killings, arbitrary arrests and enforced disappearances. President Rodrigo Duterte launched the anti-narcotics campaign in 2016 to deal with the rampant drug problem. Since then, at least 6,600 dealers or users have been killed. Well, that's according to police, but the activists say that more than 27,000 people have died. And moving on now to sports news and from the Cricket World Cup, where England surged into their first World Cup final after 27 years with the sensational 8-wicket demolition of Australia at Edgbaston. Jason Roy and Johnny Bairstow led England's charge after a brilliant bowling performance. The hosts will have the chance to lift the trophy for the first time when they meet New Zealand at Lord's on Sunday. And talking about Wimbledon, while the most celebrated rivalry in modern men's tennis is becoming a habit again. After nearly 2 years of not playing each other, Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal will meet for the second time in 5 weeks when they face off today in the Wimbledon semi-finals. And today's match will be the 40th meeting for Federer and Nadal, and it will be their first at the Wimbledon since 2008 finals. While the other semi-final will feature Novak Djokovic taking on Roberto Bautista Agut.
The number 100 is proving to be an important one for Roger Federer in 2019. Earlier this year, the 37-year-old Swiss earned his 100 tour level title in Dubai. And on Wednesday night, Federer beat number 8 seed Kei Nishikori 4-6, 6-1, 6-4, 6-4 to earn his 100th Wimbledon match win, advancing to the semi-finals at the All England Club for a record 13 time. Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal will meet at Wimbledon for the first time since the 2008 final after both advanced to the last 4. Nadal beat Sam Querrey 7-5, 6-2, 6-2 to reach the semis. Together they have won 10 Wimbledon titles between them. Nadal's win means there are 2 Spaniards in the Wimbledon men's singles semi-final for the first time after compatriot Roberto Bautista Agut beat Argentina's Guido Pelle to set up a meeting with the world number 1. Defending champion Novak Djokovic snuffed out a promising start by David Goffin to reach the Wimbledon semi-finals. The Serbian world number 1 went to break down in the first set to the speedy Belgian before turning it around in clinical fashion to win 6-4, 6-0, 6-2. Top seed Djokovic is chasing a 5th Wimbledon crown and a 16th Grand Slam. He faces Roberto Bautista Agut in the last 4 on Friday after the Spaniard beat Guido Pella 7-5, 6-4, 3-6, 6-3. Sports Desk, DD News.
And let's now move on to our next segment, the morning print, to get you a glimpse of what the national dailies are carrying this morning. We're beginning first with the news from Hindustan Times, and this is the finance minister's interview being carried by this newspaper, where she said that the peak taxation rate of 42.7% not ideal. She's in fact also said that rate will come down when the timing is proper. And in fact, she said, talking in detail about it, we'll have to see when the timing is proper to bring it down. Well, she said that in response to a specific question whether in principle she thought this was too high a tax rate for a country such as India. Okay, let's now move on to some other news coming in from the Economic Times. The e-commerce firms submitting company details to government, and the report The reports will contain the details of company structures and the business operations, and this is the first such instance of the government seeking such a clarification on the way these internet companies function, and comes on the back of several complaints being made by seller bodies and other rival players about internet commerce firms allegedly violating laws that govern the sector. In fact, the development also coincides with the Competition Commission of India conducting a survey on the commerce market in India. So important developments taking place there as far as e-commerce firms are concerned. Okay, let's now move on to the Pioneer and get you this news on the weather front. Monsoon eludes northwest, humidity rises, rains cover 70% area, but half of it gets deficient amount. And this is talking about how, except Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan, the northwest states, that's Uttarakhand, Haryana, Punjab, Delhi, Chandigarh, Himachal and Jammu and Kashmir have recorded deficient monsoon so far, and the Met Department data has shown that monsoon has covered almost 70% areas in the country, but half of the sub-Met divisions fall under the deficient rainfall category. Moving on now to some other news from the Statesman. Important developments taking place here as well. Indians to benefit as US House clears a bill to remove the cap on green card. Well, what this essentially means is that the US House of Representatives has passed by an overwhelming majority a legislation to remove the 7% country gap on green card applicants, a development which could end the agonizing wait of thousands of talented professionals from countries like India who have sought permanent residency there. And the bill, when signed into law, increases the per country cap on family-based immigrant visas from 7% of the total number of such visas available that year to 15%, and also eliminates the 7% cap for the employment-based immigrant visas. Okay, let's now move on to our last news item for today, and this is coming in from the Asian Age. Chernobyl site to become the official tourist attraction. Well, yes, you heard that right. Chernobyl, the site of the world's worst nuclear disaster in April 1986, which resulted in thousands of deaths, is to become an official tourist attraction. Ukrainian president has announced, and once at the center of a 1,000 square mile exclusion zone, Chernobyl has seen a sharp rise in visitors since an HBO miniseries about the tragedy aired earlier this year. With that, it's a wrap on the morning print for now. Let's move on now to our next segment, and that is the history of the day, to check the significance of this day in the past.
On this day, 1909, Bimal Roy, an Indian film director, was born in Dhaka in Bangladesh. He was noted for his realistic films like Madhumati, Do Bhiga Zameen, Parinita and Biraj Bahu, which won him a number of awards throughout his career. On the same day, 1961, 2,000 people were killed in Pune due to failure of the Khadagwasla and Panchet dams. The dam was constructed on River Ambi in late 1950s for irrigation. On this day, 1990, Soviet Communist was split after populist politician and President of the Russian Parliament Boris Yeltsin resigned from the Soviet Communist Party. On the same day, in 1993, approximately 200 people were killed when an earthquake measuring 7.8 on the Richter scale struck northern Japan. On this day in 2013, veteran Bollywood actor Pran, known as a movie villain in Hindi cinema, passed away in Mumbai. Pran appeared in over 350 films and was honored with the Padma Bhushan in 2007 and Dada Saheb Phalke Award in 2013.
And time now for a health story of the day, and today we've picked up a very important topic. While most people don't give a second thought to using their cell phone everywhere, from their morning commute to the dinner table and even to the doctor's office. But research has shown that cell phones are far more dirty than most people think it is, and the more germs they collect, the more germs you touch. Here's a report on what to keep in mind while using your mobile phone.
Most people use and carry their cell phones everywhere without realizing that mobile phones are a potential vehicle of infection. Cell phones are far dirtier than what you think and transmit the germs easily.
There is such a widespread use of mobile phones that one tends to forget whether it can have any bad effects. A health effect one does not really get concerned about are the bacteria or the infections that get carried around with mobile phones. We use it so frequently and we keep it anywhere so liberally that we forget that there are places where there could be more bacteria or more harmful bacteria or the microbes, and they could get transmitted to yourself and to others through these mobile phones. those unclean areas, whether it is the dustbin or the toilets or whatever you can think of, would get onto your mobile phones and get transmitted.
Carrying the cell phones from morning commute to the bedroom, from restroom to the dinner table can make you fall sick and take you to the doctor's clinic. Cell phones carry 10 times more bacteria than most toilet seats.
Getting your mobile into a good shape and a clean shape is very important. Simple swiping it with a tissue paper can remove these bacteria. There is often not a need for the use of antiseptic, antimicrobial agents, but if one is visiting hospital or patients or areas of bad microbes, one can resort to those measures also. Just like hand washing is very important in safeguarding and preventing the transmission of infections, the careful cleaning of the mobile phone and their covers is important in preventing the spread of such infections.
Keep your phones out of the bathroom, clean the cell phone properly and wash your hands frequently to avoid spread of infections. Kiran Bhardwaj, DD News.
And the good news in the story for the morning today. Well, in Maharashtra, a new technique is helping address water scarcity in villages. While previously government's efforts were limited to increasing the water storage capacity by building dams and tanks. And at the end of the 20th century, a new technique that's called CCT, which is continuous contour trench, was introduced, accepted, popularized and practiced in Maharashtra to make villages water secure. And our 2 land revenue employees from Akola district in Maharashtra have been visiting different villages to give their unconditional support in making those villages drought free through this new technique of rainwater harvesting. Here's the story.
When the first rays of the sun reach the earth, Sunil Kale and Harihar Nimkande start for farms with equipments. Don't mistake them for farm laborers. They are employees in the revenue department of Akola district in Maharashtra. Sunil Kale has been serving in the revenue department for the last 13 years and has delivered several rural development works. Both Sunil and Harihar have completed their target of digging 122 CCTs or continuous contour trenches in Pani Foundation's Water Cup Foundation. Last year, Sunil and Harihar had completed their target of digging 51 CCT, and these days the duo go to different villages every morning without fail to help in the digging work. Almost 60 lakh litres of water will be collected this monsoon when the target is achieved, and this water will be useful to the people of those villages where water is scarce.
नौकरी तो सभी करते हैं, लेकिन सामाजिक जिम्मेदारी निभाना भी जरूरी है। अब हम कोशिश जितनी हो सकती है कर रहे हैं। वाटर कप एक बड़ा माध्यम है। पानी के लिए ऐसे काम को आगे बढ़ाने में सामूहिक भागीदारी से हर समस्या दूर हो सकती है।
Sunil believes that if every citizen takes responsibility and digs at least 1 CCT, he or she can contribute in making his own village water secure. Seeing Sunil do Shramdan, not only were villagers enthused but also Harihar, who since last year has been accompanying Sunil daily to contribute in Shramdan in different villages. Taking inspiration from Sunil Harihar, many officials are coming forward to contribute in this initiative.
दिन ब दिन यहाँ पर जल स्तर कम होता जा रहा है। हमने अपने प्रयास से यहाँ CCT की मदद से पानी की किल्लत को दूर करने की कोशिश की है और गांव वाले भी हमारे साथ है।
Sunil and Harihar's work has infused new energy in the villagers of Maharashtra, and now every villager is working hard to make their village water secure. With Tabassum Malik and Vishal Bore, Bureau Report, DD News.
Moving on now, Prime Minister Modi has congratulated the countrymen on the occasion of Ashadi Ekadashi. He's tweeted a video on the occasion saying that the beautiful town of Pandharpur in Maharashtra has a special link with the Ashadi Ekadashi.
पंढरपुर वारी अपने आप में एक अद्भुत यात्रा। साथियों, आषाढ़ी एकादशी उस दिन को पंढरपुर वारी की भव्य परिणति के रूप में भी मनाया जाता है। पंढरपुर महाराष्ट्र के सोलापुर जिले का एक पवित्र शहर है। आषाढ़ी एकादशी के लगभग 15-20 दिन पहले से ही वारकरी यानी तीर्थयात्री पालकियों के साथ पंढरपुर की यात्रा के लिए पैदल निकलते हैं। इस यात्रा जिसे वारी कहते हैं, में लाखों की संख्या में वारकरी शामिल होते हैं। संत ज्ञानेश्वर और संत तुकाराम जैसे महान संतों की पादुका पालकी में रखकर विट्ठल विट्ठल गाते, नाचते, बजाते पैदल पंढरपुर की ओर चल पड़ते हैं। यह वारी शिक्षा, संस्कार और श्रद्धा की त्रिवेणी है। तीर्थ यात्री भगवान विट्ठल, जिन्हें विठोबा या पांडुरंग भी कहा जाता है, उनके दर्शन के लिए वहां पहुंचते हैं। भगवान विट्ठल गरीबों, वंचितों, पीड़ितों के हितों की रक्षा करते हैं। महाराष्ट्र, कर्नाटक, गोवा, आंध्र प्रदेश, तेलंगाना, वहां के लोगों में अपार श्रद्धा है, भक्ति है। पंढरपुर में विठोबा मंदिर जाना और वहां की महिमा, सौंदर्य और आध्यात्मिक आनंद का अपना एक अलग ही अनुभव है।
And moving on now, checking the weather in your city. And with that, it's a wrap on the breakfast news for now. But before we go, we are leaving you with the glimpses of Nigerian artists transforming scribbles into creative artwork. Here's how she's doing it. Take a look at those visuals, and we wish you a great day ahead. Thanks for being with us.